Welcome to the channel. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on today. If you're listening to this on social media platform or on my website, I welcome each and every one of you, or any other forms of communication that you may be using to listen to this share. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about the elephant in the room. All right, traditions that are still being carried on in Ghana that I think we need to discuss, particularly those of us who are members of the transatlantic slave trade, those who are historians in Ghana, and those of us who have a history with Ghana, or who those who may be new to Ghana or planning on traveling to Ghana. I think it's important for us to discuss the traditions that are still being carried on in the nation that are reflective of the nation's past involvement in the sale of African people, or people taken from the African continent, be it Israelite people, or other tribes that were on the continent, because we were not all of the same tribe, and that's a discussion for another time. But the topic of Ghana's role in the transatlantic slave trade cannot be ignored. And so I'm using these images here because every time I see these images, the images on the screen with the umbrellas, it bothers me. Okay, now let me just say that once again, I have a long history with Ghana, if I haven't said it yet, more than 19 years, coming up on 20 years. I love the nation, I love the people, I love the good culture and the good traditions, okay? And those that do not cause me to go against my faith, all right? And so I want to be very clear about that. But we have to also address the issue of Ghana's role in the transatlantic slave trade, and Ghana's role in its own triangle trade on the continent, being coming from the Ashanti region, going down to Uda, Wida, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, capturing a people, the children of Judah, and transporting them in between Judah, the Ashanti kingdom, and Elmina. All right. Now, if you look at the original map of Africa, you will see that it lists the Ashanti region as the kingdom of Akanas, and next to it, it lists the kingdom of Wida, Judah, and also the kingdom of Benani, which we call Benin. Judah, Benjamin. Where have we heard that? Whether you're a believer or not in the biblical scriptures, you have to admit that it's not just a coincidence that those two kingdoms were called Judah, Benjamin, and they happen to go along with the kingdom of Judah, Benjamin, that is on the that's mentioned in the scriptures. All right. And so when we look at that, all right, and I see those pictures of the Ashanti paintings. These are paintings from a hotel. I think it was the Holiday Inn Hotel, or Holiday Inn Hotel in Ghana. And I see that they're depicting the king. I won't call them a chief because they lowered their titles by calling them chiefs. But when we see what would be the king and the queen being covered by these umbrellas were given to them by Europeans as gifts for capturing Israelites, for capturing fellow Africans and selling them. And I think this is something that we need to address in this modern time. We don't need to ignore it anymore. It's like the elephant in the room. Why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't we saying maybe this tradition needs to be done away with? Maybe we need to teach the people where these umbrellas came from. Prior to that, palm leaves were used and other branches were used as shade, right? But these umbrellas represent the lives of our people being sold to the Europeans. And this is something, this is a tradition that we should not continue. This is a tradition, in my opinion, that exposes the hand that the Ashanti kingdom had stretched out in the transatlantic slave trade. And so, with no disrespect to the chiefs, kings, queens, those in leadership, this is something that we need to do away with. And this is something that, as people in the diaspora, if we were, let's just change this. If these were white people still carrying relics of things that they used to enslave our people, we would be yelling and screaming, we would be shouting. If they walked around, wearing things that reminded us of the pain and the torture that they put our people through, we wouldn't stand for it. And so just because it is our fellow blacks, so to speak, we share the same continent, we share the same skin color, we're not all of the same tribe of people, we're not all of the same kingdom, as it was clear on the very first map and on the second map of what we call the continent of Africa, that the Ashanti kingdom was the Ashanti kingdom, the kingdom of Judah was all its own kingdom, the kingdom of Benini was its own kingdom, and so on and so forth. All right, but we need to address this as a people if we're going to be honest with ourselves, especially as diasporas. What do you think when you see this? Do you even know where the history of this came from? And does it matter to you? All right, you don't have to comment, you can just think on it. If it doesn't matter to you, that's fine. But for me, whenever I see this, it's a constant reminder of the Ashanti kingdom's role in the enslavement of our people. All right, and so I do remember, let me just say this, a couple of years ago there was an Ashanti king, see I have to make myself say king, that came out and repented, so to speak, on behalf of their nation and the people that were involved, the ancestors that were involved in the enslavement of our people, right? And that's excellent, that's wonderful. But I think what he did needs to become a tradition, and more education needs to be done. And I hope that this share will help to open the eyes of some and give others courage to speak up. Of course, respectfully, but speak up and make this bad part of history known. Okay? Why do we do what we do? Most people don't even know. Shalom.